Mississippi, about a couple of items here. He's got a few minutes with us, and Roger, good morning to you, and thanks for joining us today.
Well, Tim, it is great to be with you, and I'm thrilled that Ray Pritchard is co-hosting today. Hello to both of you.
Thank you, Senator.
It'll be 94 in Washington, so we're right there with you on this heat wave.
I hear you. Hey, Senator, let's you got a few minutes here with us. I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, there was a hearing a couple of weeks back, I guess it was, in the Senate having to do with sexual harassment in the military. That's been an issue in the news for a while now. And what was the essence of the hearing about?
Well, it has just become rampant in the military. I don't know if it was covered up before, but we have numerous allegations, hundreds upon hundreds of allegations of sexual assault against men and women in the military, and also sexual harassment, to the point where it seems there's sort of been a culture of looking the other way, and I think what probably piqued your interest is I found out that there have been some links between sexually explicit materials and sexual harassment in the workplace. There's a prohibition in law about pornography being available on our military installations. We found out it's not being enforced. So it seemed to me that if there's a law, we ought to ask the military why they're not enforcing it.
Exactly. You're right. I did bring that to your staff's attention, and you and some other senators brought that up because, like you, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it's unlawful, as you just mentioned, for the military to allow pornography to be sold on its basis, which is, the exploitation of women and men, perhaps, as sexual objects, and then at the same
degradation.
time,
right.
Degradation, and then so that's feeding the minds of those who are viewing it, and it's being profited on. It's making it's selling it on a military basis. So, what's going to be the long and short of that? You think they're supposed to get back with you?
This has been the law since 1996.
Yeah.
Passed by both houses and signed into law by President Bill Clinton. And yet the military has said the way it is constructed, it's virtually unenforceable. So we passed, and about unanimously by voice vote, as part of the defense bill that's now going to go to the floor of the Senate, asking the defense to get back to us.
Okay.
And tell us how they intend to, or at least how they're attempting to enforce this. They're coming down on commanders, and I think commanders that aren't enforcing standards ought to be called to task on sexual assault and sexual harassment. But if our own DOD is not going to enforce the law, what does that say about the entire issue of picking and choosing which laws we like and which ones we think maybe aren't such a good idea?
We're talking to U.S. Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, joining us from Washington, D.C. Roger, could you comment on, we don't have time for a full discussion, but would you comment on the immigration reform law in the Senate? I know it passed what's called cloture.
Oh, just an amendment, just a cloture on an amendment. But I was astonished to hear you and Ray say this today, that some Christians feel one way and some another way, and this is an area in which people of good faith might disagree. What a just outlandish viewpoint you have, that we might be able to see things differently.
Yeah.
I don't think this bill is the right approach. I think that our system is broken I think we need to bring these people out of the shadows, and we need to fix the border. But we need to fix the border first. And that's what we did yesterday. I was actually proud of the amendment yesterday because it adds new Border Patrol agents. It adds new and better technology on the border and builds more fencing. So for somebody like me who says border control first and enforcement first, I thought the amendment yesterday was a good step. I don't think it goes far enough to make the bill one that I can vote for, but it moves the ball in the right direction, and maybe the House can improve on it.
What do you think? Where does it go now? Where does this go now?
The amendment, we've a lot of procedural stuff, Tim, but we've decided to cut off debate on that amendment. It'll be voted on sometime tomorrow, and then I hope the majority leader gives us a lot of additional amendments that we can debate and vote on. I don't think we should rush this. So I think he's looking at passage Friday or Thursday night or something like that. To me, that's ill-advised. I have an amendment that I think to me, unless we pass it, it's a signal that we think the bill will fail. You know, there are what we call sanctuary cities all over the country. Cities where they say, come to our town, and we won't help the federal authorities enforce the immigration law. They're called sanctuary cities. Well, to me, if this bill is going to work, no one should be seeking sanctuary after this bill because everything's going to work great. So I think at the very least we ought to tell these cities that are going to flout the law they will not be eligible for federal law enforcement grants. That's one amendment I think would improve the bill and move it towards something acceptable.
A lot of legislation's passed in the House because it's controlled by the Republicans that they know when they send it to the Senate, you the Republican Party's in the minority, so it's dead on arrival. In this situation, the legislation is developing in the Senate, being sent over to the House, and could it be, if something is going to pass, it's got to be something that will be palatable to the majority of the Republicans in the House of Representatives. Is this the case with this legislation the Senate's passing?
I think the Republican majority in the House will have a completely different outlook on this issue. I think there's agreement that the system is broken and needs to be fixed, that the status quo is not good. And you have everybody, I think, agreeing to that, but from Heritage over to the American Conservative Union and the liberal groups. But how we do it and whether we do it comprehensive or step-by-step with enforcement first, there's a big difference of opinion between the leadership in the Senate and Speaker Boehner. I think Speaker Boehner will want something that's a lot tougher, not only on border enforcement, but also on enforcement in the interior of the country. 40% of our legal immigrants are people who came here legally, and they simply overstayed their visas. They just ignored their promise to go back at the end of the appointed time.
And we don't know where they are.
That needs to be part of the solution, too.
Yeah. Wasn't it the case with at least one or two of the terrorists in Boston?
I do believe so.
I think
that should have been caught.
Yeah, and so we've got a lot of people here illegally overstaying their visas, and we have no idea where they are. Senator Roger Wicker has been our guest. Roger, we look forward to talking to you again sometime real soon. Maybe we'll have a little bit longer, but we appreciate your time this morning.
Sounds like y'all have a good lineup this morning.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care. Good to talk to Senator Wicker. Wish we would have had